Hello students, I am Bishwajit Nath. Welcome to my YouTube channel Best Physics Guide by Bishwajit Nath. Today I am going to discuss about the chapter gravitation. There are 2 point masses having mass m1 and m2 respectively. R be the distance between the center of masses of the two bodies. P is the center of mass of the first body and Q is the center of mass of the second body. M1 is the mass of the first body and M2 is the mass of the second body. These two bodies always attract each other. This force is known as gravitational force. This force is denoted by capital F. This force is denoted by capital F. Here capital F is known as gravitational force. Now from Newton's law of gravitation we can find out the magnitude and direction of this force. Magnitude of the force capital F is directly proportional to the product of the masses of these two bodies. That is, magnitude of force is directly proportional to m1 m2 and the magnitude of the force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. That is, magnitude of F is inversely proportional to r square. That is, magnitude of force is directly proportional to 1 by r square. Therefore, according to the compound formula or variation of compound formula, we can write magnitude of capital F is directly proportional to m1 m2 by r square, or magnitude of capital F is equal to capital G m1 m2 by r square. Here capital G is a proportionality constant known as universal constant of gravitation, because the value of capital G does not change or according to the surrounding. That's why the capital G is equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square is known as gravitational constant or universal gravitational constant. Capital G does not depend on the nature of the surrounding. Capital G does not depend on the nature of the or mass of the two bodies or distance of the two bodies, distance between the two bodies. This is constant for any two bodies. This formula is known as Newton's law of gravitation. Now the vector form of Newton's law of gravitation. Capital F vector is equal to minus capital G m1 m2 whole divided by mod of r cube into r vector. Here minus sign or negative sign denotes the force is attractive in nature, because the direction of r is from P to Q and direction of the force on the first body is from Q to P. That is, the direction of F and direction of R are opposite to each other. That's why we have to introduce the negative sign. Now acceleration due to gravity. Let a body is falling freely due to the attraction of the earth or under gravity. The acceleration of the body is known as acceleration due to gravity and it is denoted by small g. That is, the acceleration of a free falling body is known as acceleration due to gravity and it is denoted by small g. Now according to the definition of the weight of a body, the weight of the body is W is equal to m into g, where M is the small m is the mass of the body and small g is the acceleration due to gravity. That is, weight of the body is defined as the attraction between the earth and the body under gravity. Now, relation between small g and capital G. Let capital M be the mass of a body and capital R be the radius of the earth. When the body is on the earth's surface, then the attraction between them, that is the between the earth and the body, is capital F is equal to capital W, that is weight of the body is equal to the attraction, gravitational attraction between the body and the earth. Therefore, capital G, capital M, small m by capital R square is equal to m into G. That is, the weight of the body is equal to the attraction between them. This gives small g is equal to capital G, capital M by R square. This is the relation between small g and capital G. Now, variation of small g due to the altitude of a body from the Earth's surface. Let OP be the radius of the Earth and its mass is capital M, and a body is placed at a height h from the Earth's surface at the point Q. At the point Q, the acceleration due to gravity is g prime, and on the Earth's surface, the acceleration due to gravity is g. Therefore, from the relation between small g and capital G, we can write small g is equal to capital G, capital M by capital R square, and g prime is equal to capital G, capital M divided by g plus h whole square. Okay. Therefore, g prime by g is equal to capital R by R plus h whole square, or g prime is equal to g whole divided by 1 plus h by r whole square. This is the relation between g, small g and g prime and g. This relation gives us about the variation of small g, value of small g with respect to the altitude. From this expression, we can easily tell that the value of small g decreases with the increase of the height from the Earth's surface. Next, the relation between average density of the Earth and small g. Let rho be the average density of the Earth. Therefore, mass of the Earth is capital M is equal to 4 by 3 pi capital R cube into rho. Therefore, acceleration due to gravity small g is equal to capital G, capital M by R square. This is equal to 4 by 3 pi capital G rho whole into capital R. This is the relation between average density and acceleration due to gravity of the Earth. Now, I am going to discuss about the variation of small g due to the depth of a body from the Earth's surface. Here, OP be the radius of the Earth, that is capital R, and the acceleration due to gravity at the point P is small g. O be the center of the Earth. X be the depth of a mine. PQ is equal to x. The acceleration due to gravity at the point Q is g prime. That is OQ is equal to R minus x. Now, from this relation, we can easily write the expression of g and g prime with respect to capital R and x. Therefore, g prime is equal to 4 by 3 pi capital G rho whole into r minus x, or g prime by g is equal to r minus x divided by capital R, or g prime is equal to g into whole into 1 minus x by r. This is the relation between the acceleration due to gravity and depth of a mine. From this relation, we can easily say that the value of small g, that is acceleration due to gravity, decreases when the depth increases. Therefore, from the above two relations, we can easily say that the acceleration due to gravity is maximum on the surface of the earth. These graphs shows the variation of g prime with respect to r, small r. Here small r is the distance of a point from the center of the earth, and small g prime is the acceleration due to gravity at that point, and small g is the acceleration on the earth's surface, that is small g is equal to capital G capital M by capital R square. Inside the earth's surface, where small r is less than capital R, that is radius of the earth, here g prime is directly proportional to small r. On the earth's surface, that is when small r is equal to capital R, then the value of g prime is maximum, and after that the value of g prime is inversely proportional to r square. That is when small r is greater than capital R, then g prime is directly proportional to 1 by r square. Now, variation of small g due to the gravitational diurnal motion of the earth. Variation of small g due to the diurnal motion of the earth. Let O be the center of the earth, and this is the axis of the earth, and omega be the angular speed of the earth about its own axis. Let P be a point on the surface of the earth at a latitude theta. Small r is the radius of this circle about which the point P rotates with angular speed omega. Now, small r is equal to capital R cos theta. Small r is equal to capital R cos theta. Centrifugal force expressed by a particle at the point P is m omega square small r. M omega square small r. And this is equal to how much? M omega square capital R cos theta. And the weight of the body acts along PO direction. The weight of the body is mg without the effect of diurnal motion of the earth. But the component of this centrifugal force acts against the weight of the body along OP direction. The component of the force along OP direction is m omega square r cos theta. That is m omega square capital R cos square theta. This component acts against the weight of the body. That's why the resultant weight of the body is less than the actual weight of the body. Therefore, the resultant weight of the body at the point P is mg prime is equal to mg minus m omega square capital R cos square theta, or g prime is equal to g whole into 1 minus omega square capital R by divided by small g cos square theta. Therefore, the value of g prime is minimum at the equator, and value of g prime is maximum on the two poles. That is when theta is equal to 0, that is on the equator, the g prime is equal to g whole into 1 minus omega square r by small g. And at the two poles, theta is equal to 90 degree. Therefore, cos square theta is equal to 0. That's why g prime is equal to small g. Now, Kepler's law about gravitation. Kepler state three laws about gravitation. First law: any planet moves around the sun in an elliptical path, and the sun is at any focus of the ellipse. That is, this is an ellipse. A planet moves around the sun is around the elliptical path, and the sun is at the focus of the ellipse. Second law: the radial velocity of the position vector of the planet with respect to sun is constant. That is, the radial velocity means the position vector sp, that is r, covers same area with respect to same time duration. That is, dA dt is equal to constant, where A is the area covered by the position vector r during time t. And third law: the square of the rotational time period of the rotation of the planet is directly proportional to the cube of the average distance between the planet and the earth. That is, here t is the time period of this planet to moves around the sun. That is the time period to complete the full rotation is capital T, and small r is the distance between the sun and the planet. Average distance here, small r is the average distance between the sun and the planet. Here t square proportional to r cube. Now I am going to prove second law and Kepler's second law and third law. Let angular displacement of the planet during a very small time gap dt is d omega. That is, the planet moves or changes its position from p1 to p2 in time, very small time gap d omega dt, and the angle covered by the planet is d theta. That is, p1 s p2 is equal to d theta. The value of d theta is very small, also very small. Now the area covered by sp, that is p1 s p2, is equal to dA is equal to half into r d theta. This is equal to half r square d theta. Now the radial velocity of the planet, that is dA dt, is equal to half r square d theta dt, since r is constant. This gives half r square omega is equal to constant, where omega is the angular velocity of the planet with respect to the sun. Since under the central force, the angular momentum of the planet remains constant. That is, L angular momentum of the planet is equal to m omega r square is equal to constant. Here m is the mass of the planet, is also constant. That's why omega r square is equal to constant. Therefore dA dt is equal to also constant. That's why you can say that the radial velocity of the planet is constant. This proves the Kepler's second law of planetary motion. Now let the average distance between the sun and the planet is smaller. Now the centrifugal force experienced by the planet is equal to the attraction between the sun and the planet. Therefore, we can write m omega square small r is equal to capital G capital M small m by r square. This gives omega is equal to under root of capital G capital M by r cube. Here capital M is the mass of the sun and capital G is the universal gravitational constant, where omega is the angular speed of the planet during its rotational motion. Now the time period of the planet is capital T is equal to 2 pi by omega, or capital T is equal to 2 pi whole divided by under root of capital Gm by r cube. This is equal to 2 pi under root of r cube by capital Gm. This gives T square proportional to r cube, which proves the Kepler's third law of planetary motion. Now satellite. Let capital R be the radius of a planet, and at a height h from the surface of the planet, a satellite is moving around the planet with linear velocity v and angular speed omega. Here the distance between them, that is the planet and the satellite, is smaller. Smaller is equal to capital R plus h. Smaller with the distance between the two center of masses of the two bodies. Now, according to the Kepler's planetary motion or gravitational law, we can easily write that omega is equal to under root of capital G capital M by r cube. Or this is equal to under root of capital G capital M divided by r plus h whole cube. Now the time period of the satellite is capital T is equal to 2 pi by omega is equal to 2 pi under root of r plus h whole cube divided by capital Gm. And now small m v square by r is equal to capital G capital M small m by r square. This gives small v, this gives linear velocity of the planet satellite, linear velocity of a satellite v is equal to under root of capital G capital M by r. This is equal to under root of capital G capital M by r plus h. Here v is the linear velocity of the satellite. When capital R is excessively greater than small h, then v is approximately equal to under root of capital G capital M by r. This is equal to v approximately equal to under root of small g into capital R, where small g is the acceleration due to gravity on the surface of the planet. This is the orbital velocity of the satellite. Now the potential energy of the satellite EP is equal to minus capital G capital M small m by r. Here small m is the mass of the satellite. The kinetic energy of this satellite is Ek is equal to half m v square is equal to half capital G capital M small m by small r. Therefore the total energy of the satellite is E is equal to EP plus Ek is equal to minus capital G capital M small m by r, or E is equal to minus capital G capital M small m by r plus h. This is the expression of the total energy of the satellite. Now the potential energy of the satellite EP is equal to minus capital G capital M small m by r. Here negative sign denotes the attraction nature of the force, attractive nature of the force. The kinetic energy of the satellite is EP is equal to half mv square is equal to half capital G capital M small m by r. Here small m is the mass of the satellite and capital M is the mass of the planet. Therefore, total energy of the satellite E is equal to EP plus EK is equal to minus capital G capital M small m by r, or capital E, that is total energy of the satellite, is minus capital G capital M small m divided by r plus h. Now let VE be the escape velocity of a body on the surface of the planet. Therefore, half m v square is equal to capital G capital M small m by capital R. That is the energy of the that is the energy of the potential energy of the body on the Earth, on the surface of the planet. Here we ignore the negative sign. Therefore, VE, that is escape velocity of the body, is equal to under root of 2 capital G capital M by capital R. This is equal to under root of 2 small g capital R, or VE is approximately equal to root 2 into small v, that is orbital velocity of the satellite. That is, the escape velocity of a body is approximately root 2 times of the orbital velocity of a satellite. For a geostationary satellite, the time period of the revolution is capital T is equal to 24 hours, and the radius of the parking orbit is small r is equal to 42,400 km, and the orbital velocity of the geostationary satellite is 3.1 km per hour. Now, the weightlessness condition of the body inside the satellite. Let capital N be the normal reaction acts on a body inside a satellite. Here, capital N is equal to centrifugal force acts on the body, that is m omega square r, minus capital G capital M small m by r square, that is gravitational attraction. Since omega is equal to under root of capital G capital M by r cube, therefore N is equal to 0, that is normal reaction on the body is 0. Since the normal reaction acts on the body is 0, therefore the apparent weight of the body inside the satellite is also 0. This is the cause of the weightlessness condition of a body inside the satellite. Today I am going to complete my discussion, and thank you for watching my video, and please subscribe my channel and share this video with your friends and students. Thank you again for watching my videos.